Podcast, and I'm your host, James Roberts. Before we get started with this week's show, first off, let me take this opportunity to welcome back the regular listeners. And if this is your first time listening to the show, I hope you enjoy this episode and decide to subscribe to the show. Today's episode is going to be slightly a bit different. It's going to be a short one with just me. Today's I'm going to cover how to not indulge if you miss breakfast. If you did miss tips to stop eating and snacking late at night, this is a similar nature type, whereas we're just going to cover the opposite side of the day. So in that video, I kind of gave you tips on ways to stop snacking, be it to brush your teeth, and that would stop you eating because obviously you don't want to have to brush your teeth again. And the other tip I gave was about drinking chamomile tea. Obviously, do check out that video. To kind of go on to my point about today's video and not struggling to eat in the morning. It's a case of for people that do miss breakfast, obviously the old wives' tale has some truth in it. Obviously, if you do miss that meal, it's obviously not a good thing, and obviously from another point, it sets you up for the day. And what I mean by that is, obviously, if you did miss breakfast, obviously your brain and your body are going to be craving fuel because you've not had anything to eat. So when you do actually come to wanting something to eat, it's probably going to come down to a bad choice, because obviously your body just wants to eat anything. What I mean by that is obviously something of high in sugar that is going to get your energy levels up fairly quickly and increase that insulin level so it can function properly. Whereas if you did eat something in the morning, obviously you are, to some extent, you've kind of craved that hunger. Obviously there's a little bit of misconception in terms of that, because if you had, for example, a carbohydrate breakfast, say for example cereal, you're going to be hungry anyway later on down the line, because it's not a complex carbohydrate which is going to keep you full for a long period of time. Or this is one thing I raise with my clients, is to get more protein on in the morning, because it takes longer to break down, and I've discussed this in a few videos now. It takes more calories and more effort for the body to break down protein, so obviously you're going to stay fuller for longer if you eat protein as opposed to carbohydrates. So kind of coming back to that original question of what do you do if you don't eat breakfast, the simple one for that would be to try and obviously get it in, because obviously you don't want to be eating the likes of pastries and whatnot. Like obviously high stuff that are higher in sugar obviously is not great for your diet. And then a tip to take from that would be to try and have a kind of a latte drink, because that's gonna satisfy your hunger in the short term. But it will obviously, like I said, cut your hunger down in the short term. And then obviously, like I touched upon earlier in the video, it's your stomach that's dictating, well, your stomach and a little bit your body that's dictating those bad choices, because it all it wants to do is obviously get energy. Whereas if you have that latte or a milky hot drink, it'll obviously stop those cravings for a little bit, and you'll actually start thinking with your head on what to have to eat, as opposed to your stomach. And obviously you'll make better decisions. As in, like, this is more like midday, lunchtime, as to what you're going to eat. And then another tip that you could do is, if you're not a big fan of eating at breakfast, is to have a Belvita biscuits, because they are scientifically proven from a carbohydrate standpoint to not keep you full longer, but to they're designed a bit like a complex carbohydrate, which they'll take longer to digest. So those are my tips for today. And before I forget, I would really appreciate it if you would be so kind as to leave a short written review, as it helps to get the podcast more notoriety, and it would be more visible in future to others, and thus helping more people, which my guests and I are all about. Once again, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time for another episode of the Mindset Game Podcast.